Have you noticed more empty shelves at the grocery store lately? It's not your imagination. According to recent supply chain reports, we're facing the worst food shortages since 2020. Prices have already jumped 12% in the last quarter, and experts warn it's about to get even worse. Global shipping disruptions have hit a 5-year high, with container costs tripling since December. On top of that, extreme weather events have devastated crops in key growing regions. The perfect storm is brewing, and it's already showing up in your local stores. In this video, I'm revealing 10 grocery items that will completely disappear from shelves before the end of March 2025. These aren't just random guesses. This is based on real inventory levels, supplier warnings, and industry reports from February. Stock up now before it's too late, especially number 7. That one shocked even me. Let's dive in before these essentials vanish from your cart forever. 1. Olive oil, a crisis in the making. If you've checked the price of olive oil recently, you've probably had some serious sticker shock, and it's only going to get worse. The Mediterranean just suffered its worst olive harvest in decades. Spain and Italy, which produce over 60% of the world's olive oil, are in crisis. Reports from the International Olive Council show that production has plummeted by 35% compared to last year. What's causing this? First, record-breaking heat waves last summer literally cooked olives right on the trees. In some Spanish regions, temperatures soared to 115 degrees Fahrenheit for weeks. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, autumn floods in Italy wiped out even more crops. One Italian farmer put it best: "In 40 years, I've never seen anything like this. Our trees are stressed, and the olives aren't producing as much oil." And here's the worst part. Extra virgin olive oil will be hardest to find because it requires perfect olives. Prices have already surged 45% since November, and analysts predict another 30% jump by mid-March. What can you do? If you rely on olive oil for cooking, stock up now. If you use extra virgin, grab a few bottles before they skyrocket. Consider alternatives like avocado oil, great for high heat, walnut oil, perfect for salads, or grapeseed oil. But hurry, its price is rising too. This shortage won't last forever, but we're looking at a 6 to 8 month wait for new harvests. If olive oil is a staple in your kitchen, act now before the shelves are wiped clean. 2. Cocoa products. Say goodbye to cheap chocolate. Remember when chocolate was an affordable treat? Those days are over. Cocoa prices have skyrocketed to an all-time high, up 78% since last year. And guess what? It's about to get even worse. Why? West Africa, where 70% of the world's cocoa is grown, is experiencing its worst season in decades. Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire just reported a 30% drop in production last month. What's killing the cocoa crops? Aging trees that aren't producing like they used to? Extreme heat waves weakening the plants. A devastating fungal disease called swollen shoot virus, which is wiping out entire farms. What does this mean for you? Chocolate prices are surging. That $2 bar from last year, now $3.50 and shrinking in size. Stores are getting fewer shipments. By mid-March, many chocolate products will be nearly impossible to find. The hardest to get? Dark chocolate, cocoa powder, and Easter chocolates? Just last week, a major supplier warned retailers they'll receive only 40% of their normal chocolate inventory by the end of the month. Some stores are already limiting customers to 2 chocolate items per purchase. What should you do? Stock up on your favorite chocolate bars, cocoa powder, and baking chips. They last for months in a cool, dry place. Try alternatives like carob powder, which tastes similar but isn't affected by these shortages. If you love chocolate, don't wait until it's too late. The shelves are clearing out fast. 3. Citrus fruits. Your morning OJ might be a luxury. Soon, if you love a fresh glass of orange juice, brace yourself. By the end of March, it could become a luxury item. Florida's citrus industry just suffered a disaster. This season, orange production hit a 90-year low, all thanks to 3 massive hurricanes that tore through the groves. The damage is worse than you think. According to the latest USDA report, Florida's orange harvest is down 63% compared to last year, but here's the real problem. These hurricanes didn't just ruin this year's crop, they hit during the critical flowering period. That means recovery could take years, not months. So, what happens now? Orange juice prices will skyrocket. Certain citrus varieties may disappear completely. Imports from Mexico and Brazil will be the only backup, but at much higher prices. If oranges, lemons, or limes are part of your daily routine, grab them now before prices climb even higher. And that's just the beginning. We still have 7 more grocery items that will vanish before March ends. Stay tuned because number 7 is the most shocking of all. What do you think so far? Have you noticed shortages in your local store? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2, because you need to be prepared before these items disappear. More citrus shortages, and it's worse than you think. It's not just Florida facing a citrus crisis. Spain and Italy, which supply most of Europe's citrus, just had their hottest winter on record. The result? Lemon production has collapsed by nearly 50%. That means those bright yellow Meyer lemons you love for baking, they'll be among the first to disappear. Importers are already prioritizing restaurants and commercial buyers over grocery stores, so while your favorite cafe might still have lemon slices for tea, your local supermarket could have empty bins. Grapefruit lovers, brace yourselves. A staggering 80% of the U.S. supply comes from regions hit hardest by these shortages. Prices have already spiked 45% since January, and one major grocery chain just warned they can't guarantee deliveries past mid-March. But it's not just about eating fresh citrus. These shortages affect everything, from marmalades and fruit juices to flavored seltzers and vitamin C supplements. Blood oranges and key limes, already nearly impossible to find. Last weekend I checked 3 different stores and came back empty-handed. My neighbor, who works at a supermarket, told me they're not even getting shipments anymore. And when they do, the fruit is often damaged or underripe because distributors are rushing to get whatever they can to market. What about vitamin C? Most natural vitamin C supplements rely on citrus byproducts, and manufacturers are now scrambling for alternatives. If you take these supplements regularly, stock up now before prices skyrocket. The situation isn't the same everywhere, though. If you live in California or Texas, you might still find locally grown citrus for a little while, but expect to pay 3 times more than last year. And if your kids love those tiny mandarin oranges, get them while you can. The latest industry reports predict supplies will completely dry up by the 3rd week of March. School lunch programs have already been told to find alternatives for the rest of the semester. Here's what most people don't realize. When citrus disappears, demand shifts to other fruits. People start buying more apples and berries, which causes their prices to skyrocket too. In fact, berry prices have already climbed 30% in just 3 weeks. What can you do? Buy extra citrus now and freeze the juice. It lasts for months. Stock up on frozen concentrate while it's still available. Preserve whole citrus by salt, curing, or dehydrating them. Many people are already doing this to prepare for the shortages. Save the zest. I've already filled a freezer drawer with zest from organic lemons. It's like liquid gold when you can't find fresh ones. Trust me, you'll thank yourself when oranges are selling for $15 a bag next month. 4. Coffee. Your morning cup is in danger. Coffee lovers, this is not the news you want to hear. The world is facing the worst coffee shortage in 8 years. And if you think prices are high now, just wait. According to the International Coffee Organization, global coffee production has hit its lowest point since 2017. Why? Because the world's top coffee-producing countries are in serious trouble. Brazil, which supplies 40% of the world's coffee, is facing the worst drought in decades. Satellite images from January show soil moisture at critical lows. Some farms are so dry that young coffee plants aren't surviving at all. This could mean shortages that stretch beyond 2025. Colombia's coffee farms were devastated by floods last month, wiping out nearly 30% of their crops. Vietnam, a major coffee producer, is dealing with massive labor shortages. This season alone, they're short 40,000 workers, meaning beans are literally rotting on the trees, but it gets even worse. Climate change is hitting coffee harder than almost any other crop. Coffee plants are incredibly sensitive to small temperature changes. Even a 1 or 2 degree increase can slash yields dramatically. A study published last month found that 60% of wild coffee species are now at risk of extinction. This isn't just about your morning caffeine fix. Over 125 million people worldwide depend on coffee farming for their livelihood. What does this mean for you? Retailers are already limiting purchases. Some major stores are restricting customers to 2 bags per person. Starbucks just announced price increases averaging 18% starting next week. Specialty beans from local roasters are disappearing fast. Small coffee companies simply can't compete with the big corporations when supplies get tight. The first to vanish, the smooth, less bitter coffee most people prefer. Experts predict that by mid-March, premium coffee options will be gone from many grocery stores. Robusta beans, which have a stronger, more bitter taste, might still be around, but at double the price. Even instant coffee prices are expected to surge by early April. What should you do? Stock up on your favorite coffee now and store it properly. Whole beans stay fresh for months if you keep them in an airtight container in the freezer. Consider switching to tea. For now, tea production hasn't been hit as hard. If you're feeling adventurous, try chicory root. Historically, it's been used as a coffee alternative, and some people actually love its rich, earthy flavor. Just don't wait until you run out. If you wake up in April to find empty coffee shelves, restocking won't be an option. 5. Seafood. Say goodbye to your favorite dishes. Let's talk seafood, and trust me, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your fish tacos, shrimp cocktails, and lobster rolls might be in serious trouble. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, just announced the strictest seasonal fishing restrictions in 15 years. And these aren't just routine regulations, they're emergency measures to stop the complete collapse of certain fish populations. What's happening? Scientists tracking ocean temperatures have found alarming changes in fish migration patterns. Many species are moving into unreachable waters, where traditional fishing methods just can't get to them. Wild-caught salmon. First to disappear, bad news for salmon lovers. Alaska's fisheries just slashed March fishing permits by 60% due to dangerously low salmon counts. If you love those beautiful pink fillies, expect them to disappear from seafood counters by mid-March. And it's not just this season. Salmon numbers have been declining for years. The Columbia River Basin just recorded its lowest salmon return in 3 decades, with only 38% of expected fish making it back to their spawning grounds. That's why prices jumped 30% in February alone. Some stores have already started limiting purchases to 2 packages per customer. Shrimp crisis, small, expensive, and hard to find. If you love shrimp, you're in for a rough time. The Gulf Coast is facing a perfect storm of disasters. Winter ocean temperatures rose 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, disrupting breeding patterns. A massive shipping container spill off Louisiana in January contaminated key shrimp harvesting areas. The result? Shrimp prices have already jumped 40% since February, and suppliers can't keep up with demand. I spoke with a restaurant owner in New Orleans, and her supplier warned her that by April, she might only be able to get shrimp the size of your thumbnail, if she can get any at all. Crab. Disappearing by mid-March. This one hurts. The Pacific Northwest crabbing season just got cut short by 6 weeks because warming waters are pushing crabs into deeper, harder-to-reach areas. A friend who owns a seafood shop told me he's already been warned. No more Dungeness crab shipments after March 15th. The commercial crab catch is down 62% from historical averages, making Dungeness crab nearly impossible to find for regular consumers. A Seattle fisherman put it bluntly, "This is the worst I've seen in my 22 years pulling pots." Lobster rolls? Expect $45 per pound. Love lobster? Brace yourself. Maine's lobster industry is struggling under new trap limits and shorter seasons to protect declining populations. The warming Gulf of Maine is pushing lobsters north into Canadian waters, leading to record catches in Canada, but shortages in Maine. Tariffs and shipping costs are making Maine lobster even more expensive. Industry insiders predict that by late March, lobster could hit $45 per pound. If you can even find it. What can you still buy? If you love seafood, here's your game plan. Farm-raised fish like tilapia and catfish are still stable, though prices are creeping up 10 to 15% due to rising feed costs. Frozen seafood will last longer on store shelves, but as fresh options disappear, demand will skyrocket. Check international grocery stores. They often source from different suppliers and might have inventory when big chains run out. Pro tip, seafood freezes surprisingly well. Properly wrapped fish can last 4 to 6 months without losing quality. 6. Rice. Why your favorite variety might vanish soon. Imagine walking into your grocery store heading for your favorite bag of jasmine or basmati rice, only to find an empty shelf. A small sign reads, "Temporarily out of stock." You glance around, confused. Rice? Hard to find? You might be wondering, did I miss something? Well, you're not imagining it. The world is facing one of the biggest rice shortages in decades, and it's already affecting grocery prices and restaurant menus worldwide. Why is this happening? Rice is a staple food for over half the world's population.
Perfect storm of disasters is creating a supply crunch that's driving prices to their highest levels in nearly 15 years. In 2023 alone, the global rice shortfall reached 8.5 million metric tons, the biggest deficit since 2004. To put that in perspective, that's like the entire population of the United States losing access to rice for a year. What's causing this crisis? One, climate change and extreme weather. Floods have wiped out entire rice harvests in parts of Asia. Heat waves and droughts have slashed crop yields by 30% or more in some regions. Farmers who rely on seasonal rains are watching their fields dry up or drown. 2, export restrictions. Major rice-producing countries are hoarding stockpiles to protect their own food security. India, the world's largest rice exporter, has restricted exports multiple times since 2022 to stabilize domestic prices. In July 2023, India banned non-basmati white rice exports, sending shockwaves through global markets. This hit countries that rely on Indian rice imports, like the Philippines, Indonesia, and even parts of the U.S., especially hard. What does this mean for you? Expect higher prices. Some rice varieties have already jumped 40% since last year. Restaurant menus will change. Many places are cutting back on rice-based dishes or switching to cheaper alternatives. More empty shelves, especially for imported brands of jasmine, basmati, and specialty rices. How to prepare. Stock up on your favorite rice now properly stored. Rice can last years without losing quality. Try different varieties. Parboiled or medium grain rice might be easier to find when jasmine or basmati is out. Check international grocery stores. They often have alternative sources. And we're still not done. There are 4 more major grocery shortages coming. Which of these surprises you the most? Drop a comment below. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the list. 6.
Rice, why it's becoming a luxury.
Imagine walking into the grocery store, heading straight for your favorite bag of jasmine or basmati rice, only to find the shelf completely empty. A small sign reads, "Temporarily out of stock." You check another aisle, then another. Nothing. Sounds extreme? It's already happening. Rice prices jumped 15–20% overnight after India, the world's largest rice exporter, imposed a major export ban in 2023. While the ban was partially lifted in September 2024, there was a catch. India set a minimum export price for rice, making it far more expensive than before. Countries that once relied on affordable Indian rice like Indonesia, the Philippines, and several African nations are now scrambling to secure new suppliers. Even the U.S. is feeling the impact with rising prices and unpredictable supply. Rice varieties most at risk. Not all rice is vanishing at the same rate. Some varieties are getting hit harder than others. Jasmine and basmati rice, these premium varieties mainly come from India, Pakistan, Thailand, and Vietnam. And due to stricter export rules, they're getting harder to find and more expensive. Calrose rice, a staple in U.S. households. This short grain rice comes mainly from California, but ongoing water shortages and droughts have shrunk American rice production. Brown rice, since brown rice spoils faster due to its natural oils. Many producers are prioritizing white rice instead, making brown rice scarce in some regions. Japanese rice varieties, extreme heat is damaging Japan's rice crops, forcing the government to promote heat-resistant rice strains for future survival. Experts predict that if climate change continues unchecked, global rice yields could drop by 15% by 2050. What can you do? Stock up now. Non-perishable rice varieties can last years when stored properly. Try alternatives. Quinoa, barley, or couscous are less affected by supply chain disruptions. Support sustainable farming. Investing in water-efficient rice farming is the only long-term solution. Bottom line, this rice shortage isn't a passing trend. It's a warning sign of deeper food security issues. Noticed higher prices or empty shelves in your area? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. 7. Fresh berries say goodbye to $3.99 strawberries. Remember last March when you could grab a fresh pack of strawberries for $3.99? Yeah, those days are gone. Berries are about to become a luxury item in spring 2025. And here's why. One, California's berry belt just had its driest winter in 15 years. Rainfall was 42% below average, leading to weaker, smaller crops. 2, Florida's early berries were wiped out. 3, unexpected frosts in January destroyed 30% of early crops. 3, Mexico's berry exports are crashing normally. Mexico fills the berry gap in March, but this year, exports are down 35% due to labor shortages. Farm workers are leaving the fields for higher-paying jobs, leaving thousands of acres.
How bad will prices get? Strawberries, $8.99 per pound by mid-March if you can find them. Blueberries, expect to pay $7.50 for a tiny 6-ounce container. Organic raspberries, grocery stores are already cutting them. A major grocery chain insider warned me that they're reducing berry shelf space by 40% for March and April. They're replacing them with cheaper, more stable produce. Your best bet? Buy frozen berries now. Frozen berries still reflect last season's pricing, but once inventory runs out, expect a massive price jump. Freeze fresh berries yourself. Some shoppers are buying fresh berries now and freezing them to beat price hikes. Check farmers markets. Small greenhouse farms may still have berries, but expect premium pricing. If you love berries, stock up now before they become a rare treat. 8. Specialty flours. Why they're disappearing? Picture this. You're about to bake your favorite gluten-free banana bread. You grab your shopping list, head to the store, and bam! No almond flour. Coconut flour is ridiculously overpriced. Even oat flour is missing. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Specialty flours are vanishing from store shelves, and if you rely on them, you might want to start stocking up. What's causing this shortage? Global supply chain issues, shipping delays have disrupted supplies since the pandemic, but extreme weather is making things even worse. Almond flour, victim of drought, California produces 80% of the world's almonds, but with ongoing droughts, production has plummeted. Coconut flour, expensive imports. Most coconut flour comes from Southeast Asia, but rising transportation costs and labor shortages have caused prices to spike. Oat flour, crop failures. The U.S. and Canada's oat crops were hammered by extreme weather, cutting supplies nearly in half. What can you do? Stock up while you can. Specialty flours have long shelf lives, so it's worth buying now before prices rise even further. Experiment with substitutes. Try homemade oat flour, just blend rolled oats, or mix flours to stretch your supply. Support sustainable farming. Investing in drought-resistant crops is the only long-term solution. If you notice price spikes or shortages, drop a comment below and let's compare notes. 9. Certain meat cuts. Vanishing fast. If you've ever walked into a store and grabbed your favorite steak without a second thought, those days might be over. Meat processing costs have skyrocketed 17% since January, and it's hitting smaller processors hard. In just the last month, 3 major Midwest facilities shut down. And that's just the beginning. What's causing this? Labor shortages. Meat processing plants are running at 72% capacity, down from 88% last year. There simply aren't enough workers to keep up with demand. Warehouse stockpiles are shrinking. Supply chain delays and rising feed costs have cut inventory on key cuts of meat. High demand plus low supply equals meat price hikes. Which cuts are disappearing first? Prime ribeye and beef tenderloin. Inventory is down 43% from this time last year. If you've got a special occasion dinner plan, buy and freeze now. Pork shoulder. Its rising popularity for BBQ and slow cooking has made it hard to keep in stock. Warehouse stocks have plummeted by 50% in just 8 weeks. Chicken wings. With March Madness and spring gatherings, demand is exploding while production struggles to keep up. Industry analysts predict prices could double by mid-March. How to stay ahead? Try alternative cuts. Chuck roast, pork loin, and chicken thighs are still widely available and cheaper. Visit local butchers. They source directly from nearby farms, making them less impacted by supply chain issues. Freeze now, save later. If you see your favorite cuts in stock at a decent price, grab them before prices spike. Don't say I didn't warn you when you're staring at empty meat cases next month. The time to act is now. 10. Dairy alternatives. Flying off the shelves. Remember when oat milk was everywhere? Those days are coming to an end. Fast. Several major plant-based milk producers reported facility shutdowns in January due to equipment shortages. Some critical machine parts won't be available until June. What's happening? Almond milk. Crisis. California's worst almond harvest in a decade has led to a 31% drop in supply. Major producers are rationing stock, giving priority to their biggest retailers. Oat milk isn't safe either. 3 of the 5 largest oat milk brands have paused production on certain flavors to focus on their basics. Expect your favorite vanilla or chocolate oat milk to disappear first. Plant-based yogurt and cheese, woes, the specialized cultures needed for fermentation are in critically short supply after a key European supplier faced contamination issues. Why demand is surging? Plant-based dairy sales jumped 27%, capacity only grew by 8%. Do the math. That doesn't add up. What you can do? Checkmark stock up now. Shelf-stable versions are your best bet for lasting through the shortages. DIY oat milk. It's shockingly easy to make at home. Just blend oats in water, strain, and you're set. Explore alternatives. If oat or almond milk isn't available, try cashew, soy, or even macadamia milk. By April, store shelves may be empty. So, if plant-based dairy is part of your routine, grab some before it's too late. Olive oil, cocoa, citrus, coffee, seafood, prices skyrocketing, rice, berries, specialty flours, meat cuts, dairy alternatives, vanishing fast. I'm not here to panic you. I'm here to help you prepare. Stock up smartly on these essentials now, especially if they're staples in your home. Try out new brands and alternatives before the shortages get worse. The good news? These shortages won't last forever, but being prepared will save you stress, time, and money in the months ahead. Which shortages have you already noticed in your area? Drop a comment below. Let's compare notes. And if this video helped you out, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on navigating today's crazy grocery landscape. Stay prepared, shop smart, and I'll see you in the next video.